Hello and welcome to the Hart Women's Basketball Media Day. We are excited to hear from the defending Hart champion, Clarke Women's Basketball Program. Let's go ahead and start with introductions. Tina, go ahead and introduce yourself, name, hometown, and year in school, please.
My name is Tina Ubel. I am a super senior this year, technically a senior with COVID, and I'm from Chatham, Wisconsin.
Very good. Coach, go ahead, name and how many years you've been there at Clarke.
I'm Courtney Boyd, and I'm going into my 6th year here at Clarke.
All right. Coach, we'll start with you. Tell us about Tina and her importance to your program.
We've had her for what feels like forever, to be honest with you. She came in as a freshman, and we thought she was a steal. We knew that her athleticism was going to take us to the next level, and she did just that. She, as a freshman, she came in and was an all-conference player, was competing for being a newcomer, freshman of the year, whatever it was that year. It's changed a handful of times, but having some big accolades. And then her sophomore year, we moved her to a little bit different of position. So she really accepted that role. Her junior year, then she really stepped into a role that we just needed her, and we needed quality minutes. She went through some ups and downs with health and different things she had to figure out. So she really toughed that out. And then obviously her senior year, she had a phenomenal year, another all conference year. And then this year, kind of the sky's the limit for her. She's reached a lot of milestones at Clarke. She's going to be some of the most games played. She's going to be 1,000-point scorer. She's all of those things already as a normal senior after 4 years. And so just adding that COVID year to it is just going to be something that nobody's really going to be able to reach in a really long time. And Tina's been really special for us, whether she's on the floor or on the bench. She's just a great team player. She doesn't care who gets the credit. She just wants to win, and I think that carries over a lot. Shows a little bit of her leadership. Also, a lot shows to her character.
Tina, let's get to know you a little bit better. What's your major, and what are some career plans for you after basketball?
So I got my bachelor's of science in athletic training, and I got a minor in biology and food science and nutrition, and I'm getting my master's in business administration right now. My plans after school, I'm kind of just going with the flow right now. I have a few jobs, a few options, so I'm just kind of keeping my options open and letting it come to me. I have a lot of connections back home and other places that I can go, so I'm just keeping it open. Excited for what's to come.
It's very good. Tina, how excited are you and your teammates to kind of get started this season? A lot of success last year. How excited are you to get things going?
Yeah, so everybody that I see, they're like, how's the team looking this year? And we're just like, I think we're more excited than we've ever been. And just knowing my teammates a lot better than I did, just because I've been with them for so long. So I just feel like we have more of a connection, and we keep building our relationships more and more as the time goes on. So we're super excited for the season. We're super excited for every practice. We're like, hey, we get to play together today. Who's on my team? Kind of thing. So we're always excited to have basketball in our hands.
Coach, who is back from that Hart Championship team last year?
Fortunately enough, we returned all 5 starters. We lost two to graduation that obviously they played minutes on our varsity roster going to the national tournament last year, but we returned all 5 starters. We return our bench as well with Taylor Hazy and Izzy Peterson and Maya Mershman. And we've brought in a couple of people that just, give us a little bit more length, and we're going to hopefully be able to find new places for everybody to fall with where they will be a little bit more successful. But just returning, your 5 starters, that doesn't happen very often. And the fact that 3 of them chose to take their COVID year, do it all together, that was kind of a special thing. I know Gianna Mickles was excited about it. That way she wasn't the only senior on the roster, and just gives them another opportunity to continue to achieve a few things that they've been striving for a handful of years.
And next, we'll send it over to Doug. Doug, go ahead and introduce yourself and your affiliation with the program.
Hi, Doug Wagan, and I do play-by-play of Clarke women's and men's basketball. And Courtney, first question for you. I counted 11 people back from last year that all have experience. What's it going to be like to coach a group like that? I mean, you could almost just put the rack of balls out there and say, "Hey, run practice." But what's it like to coach a group like all that experience back?
Honestly, it should be fun. Hopefully they're telling me what we're doing right and wrong. That's kind of my goal is, coach, why didn't we call a timeout? And what are you talking about? That play's not working. I'm really looking forward to them kind of taking it and running with it. What's going to work best for them? We're only 2 practices in, full team practices. We've done a few things individually since September 22nd, but we started practice a couple of days ago. And I think the biggest thing with returning everyone is just watching them be able to interact with each other differently than they ever have. The accountability that they feel comfortable holding each other to, the expectations that they have for each other, not only for themselves, but each other. And I think that's only going to take us to another level of excitement. You never know what's to come, whether it's health or travel or these types of things. So you try to control what you can control. And I think in practice, they're doing a great job of taking care of each other. So as a coaching staff, this might be one of the first years that we are able to focus on X's and O's and scout more than we ever have, because they're going to take care of themselves in the locker room, which is really exciting.
The Heart is a very difficult conference. Talk about coaching the Heart this year. And every year you go into another season and always there's something new that happens, isn't there?
Yes, there's always something, there's always a surprise. And I mean, I love this conference. I love the competitiveness of this conference. I love bringing recruits in and saying, you're going to play players that have played at the Division I level. They've been at that school for 4 years. They've transferred here. They've done this and that. I think you get the best of all worlds in this conference. Our travel is a little bit longer than everybody else's, but that's not an excuse. We know what we're in for. And so I think the competitiveness of every single night showing up, and honestly, the different styles of play. You're going to play one team one night that's going to play a zone. The next team's going to full court press you. The next team's going to be all offense. And you're going to have to get big time stops. And I think it's just the challenge of the coaching. That's the biggest thing, is putting that scout together and really executing what team we're playing and how we're playing them, to kind of get us to where we need to be. And then in the postseason, we've already seen so many styles of play that it only sets us up for hopefully more success.
One question for Tina real quick. When you walked in the door, did you expect to be part of a history-making program? I mean, 31 wins and all the wins that you have. I mean, what did you think when you first showed up at Clarke at a practice?
I just kind of showed up and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give it my all. Like, I went 110%. Just wanted to earn my spot, earn whatever I could get myself to. I honestly didn't know what to expect when I walked in. I was just like, I'm just gonna try my hardest and see where it takes us. And we've been pretty successful because everybody's working, showing 110% all the time. And I think that's kind of what made us successful over the last 4, hopefully 5 years.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Doug. Just a couple more questions here as we wrap things up. Tina, similar question to that. What has it meant for you to put on that Clarke uniform and step out on the floor each night with your teammates?
Yeah, I've been here, played many games, and I still get butterflies in my stomach every time I'm running out to a game. I'm still nervous. I still have those butterflies I've had since freshman year, just because I know how important it is to play for Clarke, and I know that we have a great program and we got to represent well. So it's a great feeling to put on the jersey and play another game. So I'm excited I'm here another year, so I don't need to stop putting that uniform on.
Tina, how about that experience of playing at home last year in the Heart Conference Championship? The place was rocking. Everyone wearing white and just very loud. What was that experience like for you to play in front of that home crowd?
Yeah, that was something that I guess I never really thought about, playing in front of somebody like that. It's just the atmosphere at Clarke is like, it's such a small gym, but it feels like you're in a giant stadium, like when everybody's there and everybody's cheering. And we were all yelling at each other because we couldn't hear each other play. So we kind of had to make our own plays, and it was kind of fun just running around and being like, what are we in? Like at the end of the game, because it was so loud, and it was one of the best feelings I've ever had when playing basketball.
Coach, how about for you and your staff, to see that atmosphere for conference championship game? I bet that meant a lot to you.
Absolutely. It just shows that the chemistry of what we've created as a women's basketball program is much bigger than that. The support when the people showed up, we're such a small campus, probably one of the smaller schools in the conference, to be honest with you. And the fact that we filled the gym the way that we did, and the support that we had throughout the whole conference tournament, going up to that point, it was just a different feeling. I think I've used in the past the word electric. It made Clarke women's basketball. Of course, it helped put us on the map a little bit more, but it took Clarke to the next level of competition, and we've really seen that in the other sports this season so far, in the fall. And I'm really excited because this team deserves it. As Doug mentioned, Tina, Emma Kelchin, and Skylar Culbertson are going to be the most decorated players to come through here because they will have been here for the 5 of the most successful years. Nobody can take that away from them. So in order for them to be able to do that at home, in front of their family and friends and people they've spent so much time with, it's something that you can't replace it. Nobody can take that away from them, like I've said before, but I think it's also something that they're going to remember. It goes on top with, all the memories of things, but the pictures and the excitement, the chills hopefully will come back when they're talking about it in 5 or 10 years. It was a pretty cool experience.
Coach, your assistant coach, Adam Hawking, was named the Hart Co-Assistant Coach of the Year last year. What does he mean to your program?
A lot of the things that he does are behind the scenes. And that, I think that goes for every assistant coach, right? You have the assistant coach title and you're trying to make your team and your head coach look as good as you can. And there's a lot of things that go unnoticed. The organization piece of certain things that we have to have done at certain times, just for Clarke, not even to the conference, that goes through his office. There are some recruiting pieces that go through his office. The communication of all the reminders. You tell me something today, I'm probably going to forget tomorrow, but I rely on that reminder from him to make sure that I am not dropping the ball anywhere. So somebody that you can look at and you can say, absolutely not, we're not going to do that. And then other times where you're going to say, that's a great idea. I think just having that ability to communicate a little bit, the give and take, and understanding, kind of the end result is we're all in the same mindset when it comes to the end result is super important. And he fills that role really well.
Coach, last question for you. We've asked all the head coaches the same thing. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you hear Heart of America women's basketball?
The first competitive is the first word that comes to mind. I think overall, I just think it's a high level of basketball. Everybody likes to say they have the best conference in the nation. I would like to think that we're one of the top 3. And that goes to show when we have 4 and 5. And I think one year, if I remember correctly, since I've been here, we may have had 6 at the national tournament. That was back when there were only 32 teams. That's kind of unheard of. So we beat up on each other all year. There's a lot of respect for the coaches that are in the conference because we know that they're putting in as much time just to keep us as competitive as we can. And every night you show up, if you don't have a great game plan, it's going to show. So you want to be as prepared as possible, have that respect for the other team in the conference, but at any given night, the Heart of America is no joke. So just a big competitive conference and a big love for basketball.
Great. Well, great stuff. Coach, thank you so much for your time. Tina, thank you for joining us, and best of luck as you get going here in the next few weeks.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Tyler.